We did the whole body, and we noticed that there was a liver laceration also.
And did you obtain any information from anyone as to what event or events may have been involved in causing the child to suffer this trauma?
Yes, I did talk to, I believe, she's a girlfriend of the father when she came by, and I did ask what happened.
Okay. Do you recall what she told you, or?
Yeah, I think I'd have to review
in general terms.
I'd have to review my notes, but at first I recall that something about, I'd have to review the notes, but this is, and it's in there, but my recollection is that baby or the young child was not acting right, and she may have just shook him just a little bit to see what was wrong.
Okay, so part of the information she gave you was that he wasn't acting right, and she shook him. Did you receive any information from anyone that would explain that might explain at least the occipital fracture?
Well,
then you're welcome to review.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to look for, to see what I documented. But then later, I think there was he may have told me that he might have fallen off the bed. But it's in here, and I have to look at exactly what I was told. It's in my notes, so I will try to find that, and we can let's see. This may be it. Okay, patient was staying with his father's girlfriend when she reported that the child was acting oddly. She shook his shoulders a little bit, and he was difficult to respond. That is what I just said pretty much. And then she called the father to pick him up, and he quickly arrived. Upon arrival, it was reported that the child was completely unresponsive and he was not breathing. Father took him to the emergency department. He arrived. He had no palpable pulse and no spontaneous respiration. So that is what I was told originally.
Okay. Did you have any subsequent conversations that you recall with, and when I say conversations, I mean whether it was a question or two or more extensive, did you have any further communications with the girlfriend as to what might have led up to the child being unresponsive?
I did. Wondered whether it was possible that there was some, because in the beginning we didn't know what was going on. We have to ask everything, before we knew about the skull fracture and everything. We knew he was unresponsive, so I was wondering if he could have got into some medicine or something like that. If there was any medicine laying around, but she said possibly, but medicine obviously would not have caused a skull fracture. I seem to recall, and it would be in my notes, but I have to find it. That was the initial thing, was that it wasn't acting right and kind of shook his shoulders a little bit, and then he got unresponsive. But I do recall hearing something about maybe falling off the bed at a later time, and that's in my notes somewhere, but I have to find it.
In any event, is it fair to say that what was reported to you was a claim of some sort of accidental trauma?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to the skull fracture and the bleeding at the back of the head, how long would it take a patient who suffered that injury, okay, the skull fracture and the bleeding, how long would you expect it to take a patient to exhibit symptoms of that injury?
Pretty immediate. That extent of trauma, it would happen really quickly. It wouldn't be acting normal literally within seconds after it happening.
Okay. So almost within seconds, you would expect some symptoms
Something, yes.
to appear.
Some symptoms, yes.
And then with regard to like unconsciousness and that sort of thing, how long would you expect it to be before you might observe those symptoms?
Can't put an exact time frame on that, but I would say 30 to 60 minutes with the extent of that trauma.
Is there, in your opinion, any reasonable possibility or reasonable likelihood that the child might have suffered that skull fracture the night before he came to the hospital?
No, that's highly unlikely. I think symptoms would have developed a lot sooner.
Do you have an opinion as to the likelihood that after the child received the injury, that he would have still been behaving normally, sitting up, having fine motor skills like being able to hold a cup and use the cup, sitting up in what is a normal fashion, I suppose, for a toddler, playing, not crying, and so forth? What is the likelihood that you would find a child behaving that way after sustaining that injury?
No, not going to happen. Right after the fall, he may not go unconscious right away, but he's not going to be behaving normal at that extent of trauma. It's going to be abnormal. It's going to get progressively worse.
Are there any other symptoms that you would find that are typically or commonly associated with a head injury besides unconsciousness and so forth?
Well, an adult, we would say altered mental status, which means they get confused and stuff like that. And a kid, it's a little bit harder to determine that. We just say they're not acting right.
Okay. What about nausea? Any relationship between an injury to the head and nausea, and typically?
A lot of people that have head injuries or concussions do have nausea, and some have vomiting. Yeah.
How, in terms of, and I understand if you can't put a specific time frame on it, but what kind of a general time frame would you expect before some of those secondary symptoms like nausea appeared?
It can happen fairly quickly, but maybe 30 minutes. It can happen within minutes or an hour after.
Okay. Now, with regard to the you indicated there was some swelling to the face and marks of some sort on the face. Is that right?
Yes.
What were the nature of the marks or evidence of injury with regard